She freshened up and I asked her to go wait for me at the pool. When I was done with the food, I carried it to the pool, but I collapsed at the sight of what was in the pool. I woke up few hours later, only to see myself in the hospital. After a while, David walked in. He was so happy seeing me awake. He rushed to me and explained how he got a call from my phone and some female told him I was unconscious. He said he was surprised when he got to my house and found me laying almost lifeless on the floor. He then asked me, "Richard, where is your wife? I couldn't see her when I came for your rescue. Did she do this to you?" At the hearing of the word wife, tears streamed down my cheeks. Immediately everything played back as if it was a rainfall after a strong wind. I told him that I came out with the food I cooked for the both of us, to go meet with her at the pool, but on getting there the whole pool was filled with blood. David was shocked as he exclaimed, "Blood? The pool was all clean when I came to rescue you, or maybe it's an illusion," he concluded. I looked at him with a tears well up eyes for a while before asking, "Then where is my wife? Let's search first." "You don't know the possibilities," he assured me. 2 days later the doctor confirmed I was strong and ready to be discharged. David offered to pay the bills. After my discharge from the hospital, we waited for 2 days to pass, but yet we didn't see nor hear anything from my wife. I was forced to go with David to go meet all their family members, but then again we didn't see her. In fact, they all confirmed not to see her since our wedding. We were left with no option than to go make our report to the police. I wrote down everything that happened and David wrote his own part. It is about a week now and yet no words from the police. I began losing hope and began engaging in other things, trying to get my mind off my wife and that of the constant pressure from her family. On Friday night, while sleeping alone on my bed in the middle of the night, I rolled and touched something or someone on my bed. At first I thought it to be my wife, then I recall I haven't seen my wife and I slept alone. Fear engulfed me and I sprang up quickly, turning on the light in the room. "Babe, what is it?" the person said with a sleepy voice. After turning on the room light, I realized and got more shocked to see my wife on the bed. I was curious to hear her story. "Babe, what happened? Where did you go to and how did you get in?" "I mean, what happened?" I asked curiously as sleep left my eyes and joy filled my heart. "Is that your problem? Seeing me alone is not enough for you? Or maybe I should just leave since you won't let somebody to sleep," my wife said, trying to stand up with sleep in her eyes. I immediately rushed to her and pleaded for her to stay while promising to let her rest. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night as I kept watching her sleep like a baby. At dawn she woke up to wash clothes. I was shocked because my wife knows that I work on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and she always wakes up to prepare me meals when we were dating, and she slept over. I was a bit angered and decided to confront her at the backyard where she was washing. "Babe, you didn't prepare breakfast?" I asked softly. But you are not going to work today now? Or aren't you doing an office work, or do you eat as early as 6:30? She answered, looking very sure. I felt a knot in my stomach, as I got lost in thoughts if actually she was the one saying that. "But babe, you know I work on Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and you normally prepare my breakfast. What is all this now?" I sparked out, a bit provoked. "Sorry, it's a joke. I was just carried away by the washing. Please forgive Bibi," she said, making a silly face. "But babe, Bibi is the name I used to call my elder sister. Why are you saying, forgive Bibi?" I asked as I was a bit confused and suspecting something was wrong. "I just wanted to provoke you a little bit. Remember what she did on our wedding?" She then laughed and walked out to the kitchen. When I got to the office, I invited David over after buying a wine that cost me 500,000 naira. David, who worked not too far away from my office, drove quickly to answer my call. Upon David's arrival, I showed him the drink. He was anxious and asked what we were celebrating. He sparked and sang praises after hearing that my wife was back. "How did it happen?" Guy explained. "Talk now," he urged as his voice was so loud. Other of my employees could hear us. He didn't mind, although that was because I owned the company. I explained everything that happened to David and also told him of my concern regarding my wife not remembering certain things. David saw it as less but only encouraged me to get the full gist about her sudden disappearance. I returned from work that afternoon with David very happy. While coming, the music in our car was so loud that people outside could hear it. On getting home, I was shocked to see my wife at home, because normally she goes to choir rehearsals on Saturdays. "Babe, what are you doing at home?" I asked, turned off from the happy mood I was in. "You wanted to bring your side chick. Where would I be if not home?" My wife answered in an angered tone. Both I and David were shocked as we looked at each other astonished and replied together. "You are the choir leader in your church and every Saturday is your rehearsals." Oh, she said and got up to prepare to leave for the rehearsals. After my wife left for her choir rehearsal, I and David began wondering what was wrong with my wife. Normally my wife was humble, but now she is rude. We discussed on the issue until David left. When my wife returned from rehearsals, she urged me to make love to her. I told her I wasn't in the mood, but she forced me to, and I later did. After the S3X, she was so happy and satisfied. I noticed she wasn't a virgin, but she told me before our marriage that she was. In fact, that was the reason why I never touched her before our marriage, because I wanted everything intact. "Babe, you're not a virgin," I said with a disappointed tone. "When you were having S3X with me while we were dating, you didn't know," she answered. "Sorry, but I never had S3X with you." "This is our first time." I was already confused. "I guess you were too drunk to remember then," she said and turned, covering her whole body with the bedspread. I wished to tell her that she confirmed to me on the night of our wedding that she was a virgin, but I decided to let go and find out what was wrong with my wife. After church that Sunday, the detective called me and asked me if my wife was back to the house. I told him yes, but on hearing my reply he shouted, "Impossible. In fact, come to my office right away, and come alone." I excused my wife, but on the other hand she asked my reasons for leaving, but I lied that I wanted to go close her disappearance case at the station and would want to go alone. When I got to the police station, I greeted the detective and asked him his reasons for calling me. The man looked at me for a while before saying, "Are you sure you are with your wife at home?" "Yes, sir. In fact, let me call my best friend to testify to that." I quickly brought out my phone and dialed David. The detective said nothing as he kept staring at me suspiciously and smiling. Soon enough, David showed up and broke the silence between me and the detective. While me and David stood on the fact that my wife was at home and that she was not missing, the detective kept doubting us affirmatively. I even had to tell him I had S3X with her the previous night. "Alright, it's okay, you both should come, let me show you something." He then took us to a room and opened a drawer that was cold and long. There, behold, the corpse of my wife who had a deep cut on her throat. The detective further told us that according to forensic report she was slaughtered in water. That was when my eyes widened, and I remembered the pool that turned red was actually real. "So, who's in my house?" I asked, frustrated. "Research shows that it is your sister. She killed your wife and did a plastic surgery, looking like your wife so she can have affairs with you." He spoke looking at a book. "So, why is she not arrested?" I said curiously and bitterly. "Sorry. But we don't have the evidence, and that is where you come in. You will sneak into her old house and get her surgery forms, then report back to us," the detective instructed. We were about going to my sister's old house when my wife, or should I say my sister, walked in and asked if I was done. I told her yes and followed her to the house. While about to sleep, the police stormed into my house and got my wife arrested for murder. It happened to be that David went and picked the surgery forms and reported back to the station. Although I didn't get my wife back, but I believe justice was served. I miss her. Drop a comment of what you learned from the story. Like, share and comment for more interesting stories like this.